All right. Hello, welcome back to our series on financial accounting or finance and accounting made easy. I like to call it our fame series. Okay. So welcome to season one, episode two. Okay, so today we're going to look at, are all accountants, are they all the same? Hmm. Let's get down to it. Okay. So my name is Adedamola Ajayi. I like to call myself your finance guy. So let's get down to it. Okay, all right. So story, like we always do, right? Okay, yeah. So today we're going to look at Mr. Femi and his doctor friend. Mr. Femi and his doctor friend. Okay. Now you remember last week, right? When we looked at Mr. and Mrs. Tola, where they had issues. You remember the old money trust accountability issue, right? Okay, so yeah, don't worry. They have settled their fight. They have actually resolved. They've been able to resolve their differences. Okay. All right. So please, if you have not watched last week's episode, you need to go back. So just go back, check my playlist. You will see Fame series. So just to watch the last episode, I promise you it's going to be worth your while. Okay. So let's look at today's story. Okay. Now, same Mr. and Mrs. Tola, but this time around Mrs. Tola is pregnant. Oh, this is the third child coming. Mr. Tola really needs to sit up and get because the third child is coming, right? Remember, and last week they had money issues. All right, but let's go. Okay, so Miss Tola is now pregnant, and on this particular day, she has appointment at the hospital to see her doctor. So she needs to see her doctor like her um um regular normal checkups with the doctor regularly, okay? And then she had been feeling one kind lately. She has not been liking the way she's feeling. So she wants to really talk to her doctor, explain and see what he can recommend or what he would ask her to do. Okay. But Mr. Tola, her husband, will be busy at work because they are in exam period. The students are writing exam, and so the probability of getting leave at work is very slim. So what did Mr. Tola do? He asked his junior brother called Femi to follow his wife to the hospital. Femi, I beg, I need your help. Please help me follow my wife to the hospital so she can see her doctor and then help her get back home, right? Because he doesn't want his wife to go alone. Okay, so now so dem reach hospital. The crowd plenty today. So many people waiting to see doctor. Like and they might have to wait a while to be able to see Mrs. Tola's doctor because it looks like the queue is really much. A lot of people are on the queue even before they get there. So they might have to wait hours before they can see Mrs. Tola's doctor. Okay. So after waiting for like 1 hour and they still weren't able to see her doctor, Mr. Femi, that's Mr. Tola's brother, was starting to get a bit disturbed and frustrated, like waiting now. Because honestly, he didn't budget that I was going to spend that long. So when his brother called him, he felt like, okay, so I'll just escort her to the hospital, spend like maybe 20, 30 minutes, we see the doctor, take her back home and I need to sort what I need to sort. So he was not planning on them spending so much time in the hospital. Okay? All right. That's how we just saw a doctor passing by, and luckily it was someone that he knew in secondary school. Dat guy wey sabi book, Thomas. He was so happy. He just quickly approached his friend Thomas and say, Thomas, Doctor Thomas, how far na, wetin dey baba, how you dey, and all those things like it's been a while. Remember me now, secondary school. Say, Femi, how far, how you dey? They hugged, quickly caught up on a few things. How you dey now? What do you do? So you work here? Great. So now, seeing him, so Mr. Thomas quickly said, Mr. Femi said, abeg Mr. Thomas, I need your help oh. See, this my brother's wife, she needs to see a doctor and we've been here for 1 hour, abeg. She fit quickly see you. You know say you be my padi, help me now. Like we have stayed so long here. Na so Mr. Thomas talk say, baba, I no go fit help you do dat kain thing oh. Say Mrs. Tola needs to see an obstetrician. Na so Mr. Femi say, wetin? Obstetrician? Wetin you dey talk? Guy, comot for there now. Why you dey talk grammar, big big grammar now? Wetin dey now? Like, why are you like dis now? If you no wan help me, talk say you no wan help me. No dey tell me say we gats see you upstairs. Which one? So you no be doctor? Doctor no be doctor. Oga, make we go your office, make you at ten d to her, make we dey go. But Mr. Thomas insisted say, guy, I be dental surgeon oh, and she has to see an obstetrician. Femi still dey reason say wetin dey work dis guy na, say dis guy is just in ten tionally not wanting to at ten d to me. Okay, yeah. And exactly, that's the same way it is with accounting too, finance and accounting. Not all accountants are the same. This might sound funny to some people, but it's the truth. Have this general impression that what do you do? I'm an accountant, I'm a finance guy, and everybody just classifies you as an accountant in quote. But the truth is that We have, just like for doctors, lawyers, and all those other professions, engineers too. In accounting, we have specialists or areas of specialization. Not all accountants are the same, is the truth. Okay, all right. So let's really look at some of those areas now. Let's look at types of financial accountants that we have. So, this is very applicable because you need to understand this and basically what they do. One, for those that are just coming up, you understand, or those that are just considering a career in finance, you can now understand different areas and you can start looking at, okay, so which area do I want to actually go for? In accounting, well, I want to say in our climate in Nigeria, we're still growing because honestly, in more advanced countries, what they do is that they have most times their finances are more specialized in nature, in the sense that you don't just have a financial accountant. So most times they ask you, what do you do? Either you are a tax specialist, you are this or that. But in Nigeria that we have somebody in quote do all these things, but normally that's not the way it should be. Yes, of course you can have the head, like the CFO, head of finance, having a basic idea of everything, but that's having gone through the ranks. Initially, the way it is programmed is that they are supposed to have different areas of specialization. So let's look at and run through some of them. The first one is the financial accountant. I'm sure everybody knows that this is the most common one we have. Financial accountant. Almost everybody knows who a financial accountant is. Okay, so financial accountant basically prepares the financial records, keep the books, prepare financial statement and report for investors, banks, management. So that's basically what the financial accountant does. So is in charge of keeping what? The books, finances. So how do we keep the records? How do we prepare reports? How do we ensure that all our so financial accounting is like that? It's like, for a doctor, we have what we call GP, general practitioner. So that means that if you don't have any specific issue, like I'm just feeling headache or feeling something, when I go to an hospital, most times you will see a GP, right? Then if they now need to, you now have special needs, like okay, you are having issues with your teeth, they can recommend you dental. You have issues with your eye, they have doctors that are into that area. So that's the same way with accounting. So we have financial accountants. So these are more like guys that wear the general hat. They do basically most finance things like that. So they are more general in nature. Then you have management accountants. Okay, so these are in a way they are more of specialists. They are into helping management make business decisions by providing information like budget, forecast, cost analysis, and so many other things like that. So their basic duty is what? They want to help management make better informed decisions. So in an organization or a company, you will see them. They are the ones that prepare report, management report, they prepare budget, they prepare the variance report, and all those other things. So that they are called what? Management accountants. So that's their specialty or area. So basically what they do is, how do we get information, strategic financial information to management to help them make what? Better decisions. They are called management accountants. Then we have this special set of people called what? Tax accountants. What do these guys do? Tax accountants, they are basically those that are into what? Taxes, taxation. Tax is a very specialized field because it has its own peculiar laws, regulation, the way it is done. So these are experts. So most times it can come in different forms, but basically what they do is they handle tax planning, tax filing, and then they ensure compliance with what? Tax law. So tax accountant, looking at it from a practical perspective, you can actually work as a tax consultant. Do you understand? That means you offer your services to clients where you help them with their taxes and all. There are more roles where you can work in an organization. You are a tax manager in an organization. That means specifically you are helping the organization manage their tax. So it's more of an in-house role compared to tax consultant that can actually handle. So tax consultants are like people that work in tax firms. You can also practice as a solo tax practitioner. That means you are an individual, but you offer your services to different clients like that. So they are called what? Tax accountants. Next is what? External auditors. So external auditors, these are like specialists that review financial records to ensure accuracy, transparency, and compliance. So I'll see another episode specifically on auditing, what auditing exactly is. Why do we have auditing? But basically, external auditors are what? They are those that review financial records to ensure there is what? Accuracy, transparency, and what? And compliance. So they are independent people like that. So they come in when a company prefers financial records or any records they want to give people or external stakeholders. So they come in, they check, is it right? Do they have evidence to back it up? And then they issue a report. They are called what? External auditors. So they are external audit firms where they work. So they are called external auditors. Then we have forensic accountant. This is more of a recent trend in accounting. It's not a traditional role like that, but it's becoming more relevant these days because you actually need them more. So they are into investigating fraud, financial crimes, and suspicious what transactions. When you have issues with fraud, somebody has committed fraud, stolen money, financial malpractice, financial crime, that's their area of specialization. So it's like into those areas, they call them what forensic accountants. So some of them work with all these security, FCC and co. Some of them work as consultants where when they have issues, they bring them in to come and do thorough investigation of what has actually occurred. So they are called what forensic accountant. Like I said, this is becoming a more lucrative field because in these days, fraud and all this are becoming a bigger issue. So their need is getting. So if you're actually considering looking for a very unique area, that can be an area you can consider. Okay. Then you have cost accountants. Okay. Who are cost accountants? These are guys who track production and operational costs to improve profitability and what efficiency. So most times you find cost accountants more. I'm not saying they are not in other organizations, but you find them more in manufacturing companies because those ones can't joke with their costing because they have to get their costing together to ensure that things are properly done. Because if you don't get your costing right, your pricing will be wrong. So cost accountants are more people that track costs, they try and monitor costs. So how much does it cost us to do this? Then and how do we improve profitability? How do we cut down our cost and all these other things? So those are what we call cost accountants. You have payroll accountants, yes, payroll accountants is also a field that you can consider. So these are specialists in what? Payroll accounts, or anything that has to do with payment of salaries, wages to staff, benefit to staff. So they are into those areas. So yeah, so and most times that payroll accountants, at times when I want to consider that why should we have somebody specifically handling payroll alone? Most times you see you have this specialization when you are a mid-size or big company because their transactions are much. I'm telling you, there are companies that have over 2,000 or 3,000 employees. You can't ask the same financial accountant that has to prepare record, prepare management accounts, ensure that he does his financial reporting and all those things, and still expect the person to process almost 3,000, even if you have a software or something to help you with that. So that's why we now there's this specialist called a payroll accountant who is to what? The person is in charge of managing salaries, pension, payee, employee compensation records, ensuring that we are doing the proper remittance and handling any what payroll related what issue. They are called what payroll accountants. So they are specialists in that area. Okay, then you have government accountants. These are people that work in the public sector, the ministries, departments, and agencies of what? Of government. So if you work in the public sector, you are considering working in the public sector, they are called what? Public sector accountants or government what? Accountants. Okay, let's start rounding up. Okay, so then we have project accountants. Yes, who are project accountants? Okay, so they monitor project budget, expenses, and financial performance. So these guys are more into when you have organizations that are dealing with more of projects. There are some organizations that the way the operations are structured, they deal with more of projects. Especially when you look at all these NGOs specifically, do you get look at, for example, you have this World Bank project you are carrying out as an NGO. So you have to track the project metrics in a way. Look at what have we spent so far from what we have been given, how are we utilizing the fund, are we utilizing it well? So that's what they do. So they monitor budget, are we doing according to budget, how's our expenses, and then of course they prepare report on how the project is actually doing. So yes, this is another very lucrative area. They are not as common as other accountants, but yes, we also have what we call project what accountants. Next is what? Internal auditors. I said we have external, we have internal too. Internal is more of an in-house person. So the person is in charge of what? Ensuring that the internal control is right, looks at risk management and operational. So that person internally that is checking that everything is actually going the way it should. Are we complying with policy? What risk are we facing? How are we handling it? They are called what? Internal auditors. Okay. They will have what we call treasury accountants. What are treasury accountants? Okay. These are guys that are more into treasury. So when it comes to anything to do with cash flow, your cash and bank balances, how do we get money to pay? How much do we have? How do we pay? They handle all these payments, bank accounts, reconciliation. They also do investment. So what do we invest in? Which what do I want to have spare fund? How do we invest it? Then anything that has to do with banking relationship with our banks and all those things. That's the area of what. Then liquidity to how do we have enough funds to be able to settle what we need to. They are called what treasury accountants. So in permit me to use they are not going to do you understand? Those are the ones that move money and all those other things. Then we have okay, I've handled external auditors. They will have payable accountants. Payable accountants. So what are payable accountants? So these guys are those that are in charge of those we are owing. Those we are owing, those we need to pay. So they are the ones that will monitor and track them. So anything that has to do with suppliers. So I've gotten goods from our suppliers. When do we need to pay? The track all those things. How much have we paid so far? And how much do we need to pay? So most times they also handle a bit of taxes when it comes to withholding tax on suppliers' payments, VAT, and all those things. They are called payables what accountants. You can also be a receivables account. That means specialize more in receivables. Who are those people owing us, and how do we get the money? How do we track it? Our receivables period. When are they supposed to pay? Bad debts that we have. How do we recover? And all those things are called what receivables account. And then we can look at one last. Although there are more, they are a bit more than this, but I don't want to make it too long. Just look at the very common and basic ones. They have your bookkeepers. Who are bookkeepers? Okay, these are those that are responsible for keeping what accounting records or what or books. So they are in charge of keeping the what the accounting record or books. They are called bookkeepers. And yes, they are part of accounting, the accounting teams for account. They can be classified accountants. In fact, I know professional chartered accountant that do bookkeeping. So at times, you think bookkeeping is crude, but at times when you have very large transactions and some companies, they still employ professional accountants to be bookkeepers. But most times, though, you have more of younger folks, people that are not, because bookkeeping is not as technical as some of these other areas that we have looked at, considering that you can also use accounting software and ERP systems. But yes, we do have bookkeepers, and that's an area some people decide to go into. So you can see that accounting is broad. Accounting is not just accountant, finance is actually something big and broad. Two accountants can have the same qualification, but completely different skills and responsibilities. Yeah, so I have guys that are into tax, they are specialists. Anything that has to do with tax, they are top notch. They have guys that are into what? They are into FP, and that financial planning and analysis, or what you call your cost and management accountant in a traditional way. But it's the FP and A is deeper than that. There are guys into what? There are guys into project accounting. That's what they do. So yeah, so that's why not all accountants are the same. Now you understand better. Okay. So getting back to our gist, honestly, let's look at it. Is what Mr. Femi did actually. Should he be angry with Mr. Dr. Thomas actually? I feel like even if Dr. Thomas cannot help, at least he's not an obstetrician, obviously, but at least he can actually what? He can actually maybe use his influence. Okay, let me see, let me talk to one of my guys. Okay, this and this and this and this, right? But it's open to debate. What do you think? The comments are open for you. All right, thank you. So please, this is we're still going to, like I said, this is a series that I'll be doing every week, and I'll be dropping videos like this every week, picking specific areas and in a very relatable way explaining what it is. So you want to get the best, click the subscribe button on my channel so you can always get necessary alerts or information when I drop videos like that. All right, thank you very much, and see you again next week for another interesting edition of what Financial Accounting Made Easy, our film series. Thank you.